perspective. So let's start at the very beginning. Let's start of like what got you into property, how long you've been doing property, and perhaps what you were doing before this time now. Because I know, Dave, you've been a builder for a while, and Maura, you had a corporate job. So just tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go first. Yeah. Well, I left school at 15, and I went off with my dad's friend, roofing, boundary roofing in Wallerton, actually, just up the road. And I spent 3 years there, solid. And then I wanted to do something else, so I got into a college and I went 2 years full time in a plastering course. Done that, come out, tried to get an apprenticeship. I must have written over 100 letters to building firms, but no joy. It was quite up there a few years before, but it dwindled out. The apprenticeships there was none about. So I went back to the roofing, and I used to get the odd weekend job, little private jobs here and there to keep my hand in. And then I spoke to my dad one day, and he said, "Well, why don't we just go out together?" And he was a roofer as well. So we combined the two, and we started doing building works and small stuff, and then it just got bigger and bigger and bigger, extensions, and it was all word of mouth. It was good. It was good.
Yeah.
So that's where I stem from.
Absolutely. And with your experience now, you can actually do out the ground. You can build out the ground kind of thing. You can build new houses and that sort of thing, right?
Oh yeah, quite easy. Yeah.
Absolutely. Perfect.
From scratch, it's easy. You can't go wrong. You know what you've got in front of you.
Absolutely.
We've got bigger and bigger as years have gone by. So then teamed up with Maura, and things have gone swimmingly. I haven't looked back.
Absolutely. So Maura, tell us a little bit about you and your background. And you guys are relatively new as a couple. You haven't been together for that long, have you? So just tell us a little bit about how you guys, because Maura, talk about what you were doing beforehand, and then you guys getting together and how you kind of progressed. Yeah, because it's quite an interesting story.
Okay. So for about 27 years, I've worked in social care. Worked my way up as administrator, then a manager, and then I became a head of service, managing staff over in Hackney, and I'd worked in sort of Lambeth and Wandsworth as well over the years in children's social care. And then I moved over to doing consultancy work, so I worked in Sutton and in Hackney again, building up IT systems and doing stuff like that. But I would think I was getting to the point there was nowhere else I could go because I was like a head of service and I was getting bored, I suppose, and I wanted to do something different. And I had always wanted to do sort of property development. Me and Dave got together just under 3 years ago. Yeah. And what actually happened there was we were about 2 months into our relationship, and I had said to Dave, I always wanted to do property development. And he said, well, what's stopping you? And I said, well, I don't know. And I had a buy-to-let, which I had down as a consent to let, and I had it for like 10 years, and I'd done nothing with it. So I hadn't remortgaged it or hadn't done anything, because every time I spoke to the bank, they kept saying, no, you've got to keep it the same. And what I realised now is they were just trying to get me to stay with them and not move it and do anything. So when I ended up looking at it, I had well over 100 grand equity in the property. So I was able to pull out about 120 grand. And that's kind of when we started then. So, and that's how we started the business. So I was able to pull the money out of my buy-to-let that I already had, and then we sort of progressed from there.
It spiraled, yeah.
And it's just run away since we started. But again, I don't think I would have done it if Dave hadn't said sort of, well, what's stopping you? Because there was no reason why I hadn't done it for the 10 years before. So but it was that
great coaching question.
Oh yeah, well, what is stopping you?
Yeah, absolutely. So great. So thanks for that background story for you. So tell us how you progressed from that point onwards. So you guys got together a couple of months in. Dave says to you, what's stopping you? You draw down some money from the equity you've got in your buy to let. Tell us what happens next. Like what was the next steps? What happened after that?
So that was about April, and July, then there was a property that came to auction, and I'd put in for it, but I didn't bid for it, even though I had the money sitting in the bank and everything else. And then I got an email the next day saying it didn't sell. Were we interested? So I told Dave about it, and then we went and had a look. Now, this was in Addiscombe in Croydon. It was a 1-bedroom flat. It had a short lease. It needed everything doing to it. I was knocking on the walls going, I think the walls are going to fall in, but Dave was telling me no, it was fine. And he just said, look, I think you should really go for it. I think it's going to be a good deal. So we did. And I thought it was that now or never. If I don't do it, I'll never do it. So he kind of gave me the push I needed, and we had to get up to Savills up London. And put in our bid. We did it on the phone. They said whoever gets here first can have the property. So we got a tube up there, and I signed it away with my new business account, and that's how it kind of started. So that was the first project. It took about 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Took 6 to 8 weeks. It had a short lease, and what I actually did was I bridged the property because I had so much equity. They reduced the amount they were giving me on the bridge because they knew what I had. So we just literally had enough to sort out the property, do the refurbishment, which was everything, wasn't it? You did plastering.
We made the kitchen diner front room sort of thing. We knocked the wall out. We new bathroom. Really
knocked out chimney.
Yeah, we took chimneys out. We made use of all the space that was there, like, you know.
And sorry. And then what happened was I wrote to the freeholder saying basically we're your new leaseholders for the property. And this is what we'd like to do. So before we did any work, I'd like to do the kitchen, this, that, and the other. You're more than welcome to come in and have a look. And he actually rang us. I think he rang you first.
Yeah.
So he rang Dave, and we arranged to meet up. And then he kept looking at what we were up to and seeing what we were doing. And then obviously I needed to negotiate the lease extension. So we met a few times, didn't we? And we just did like an informal. So I had got a Section 42, but the way the property had been sold, it probably wouldn't have been valid anyway. But I think we kind of got away with that with the leaseholder because we just did an informal. So we extended the lease, which cost us about 20 grand.
Yeah.
And that was it. And we did the work in about 6 to 8 weeks. And then we started the refinance.
If we hadn't have... That email that Morris sent really, he said all the years that I've had flats and been a leaseholder, freeholder, whatever, he said you're the first person to ever email and like introduce themselves, like, you know,
and say what we wanted to do,
what we wanted to do,
and that he was welcome to come and have a look.
Yeah, we went through everything with him, and he just said, yeah, you do that, you know. It was done the right way.
Yeah, it's good relationship building, you know, just to have that that connection with the freeholder. And it was great that he was he was able to come over and like pick up the phone and get in touch with you and build that relationship with you. But it sounds like it made that whole process of extending the lease a lot easier.
Hell of a lot easier.
Yeah,
just being upfront and honest.
Because we had the bridge for about 6 months.
Yeah.
Well, it was set up for a year, but we wanted to turn it around within sort of 6 months. But and we did it, and then it was revalued. What was it revalued at?
230.
Yeah.
Yeah. So give us some numbers on that. So what did you purchase it for? What did you spend on it, and what was the end value?
So we purchased it for 140. We spent about 15 grand on it, and 20 grand for the lease extension. I suppose we spent about 10 grand with our stamp duty and fees and stuff for the solicitors, and that was it, wasn't it?
Yeah.